Hi, this is Dr. Dan Ritchie, president of the Functional Aging Institute, and launching a webinar today with Stephanie Joanne, and really excited to have her on to talk about brand identity and marketing, and really how you attract free media so you can be a category of one in your market. Really excited to have her hosting this and really giving her insights. She's going to teach us really a lot of the things she's coaching her clients through, and she has worked with companies such as Nike, Vita Coco, Shoppers Drug Market, Lululemon, Fila, and many more. And so really excited to have her on. So thanks so much for doing this, Stephanie.
You're very welcome. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen just fine. Yep.
Amazing. Okay, so hello everyone, and I'll just take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Have at it.
Okay, cool. So if anything comes up for anyone, just throw the questions in the question box. I tend to move really fast, but I want to make sure that we are getting everything resolved. So Dan, feel free to throw questions at me midway. I'm totally cool with that. Interrupt me
I will.
anytime.
Yep, I will. I will do that.
Great. So welcome everyone. So we're going to talk about building a powerful brand identity, attracting free media exposure, and we're going to talk about complete market domination. So the first thing that I want you guys to know, and I'm sure you already know, but whether you are here because you're a personal brand, maybe you are a coach, maybe you're an offline, you have an offline facility or you're renting space in someone else's facility, either way you are a brand, right? Building an audience and people buying from you is an emotional decision, and oftentimes we forget that, we are a brand and we have to really, similar to how we would have to brand your location or a facility, or let's say you opened up a supplement store, you'd have to start thinking about what's the experience people are going to have when they come into this store, what's the vibe that's going on here. It's the same thing with you as a personal brand, and I really want to talk about that today. We're going to dive right in. You are in complete control of how others perceive you and what you're going to be known for. So the brands that can really take this on and be really, really crystal clear with this, and I always, my brain always goes to think about Kim Kardashian, right? Like, she is a brand. She is so crystal clear on what it is that she is doing. She has complete clarity on who she's serving, who her audience is, what they think of her, and all these things, that she is able to build this multi-million-dollar empire because she's such a crystal clear brand. And when you have that clarity, the opportunities just start to open up. So the end game, it's a well-polished brand: clarity, strategy, presence, authority and influence, exposure, demand, raving fans, and profits. This slide came about because I started thinking, what is it that I want? And I can't think of anything else as a brand than all these things here. So those are really good. And the good news is, it's a strategy, right? So it's not luck. No one has to pick you out of a pool of a million other fitness pros or health pros or whatever it is you're doing and say, okay, you're going to be the next big it brand. It's a complete strategy, and you have complete control. And when you do this, fans, followers, customers, media, and influencers are not going to be able to ignore you. So it's really exciting stuff that we're diving into here. Really quickly, I'm going to talk about how I built my brand and, what my story is, and more importantly, where to start and what you can start doing today. And I broke it all into a system so that you can follow step by step, give you real actionable items. I'm not a concept kind of person. I like to actually give you guys, takeaway nuggets that you can start, plugging away at this system today. So make sure you take lots of notes, and again, jump in with any questions anytime. So, who the heck am I? My name's Steph Joanne. So I'm a branding coach and I'm a business consultant to fitness professionals. I started out as a trainer. I was 16 years old, and I started working as a trainer, and then I realized, okay, I need to make a little bit more money. I had to support myself. And then I figured out I have the gift of the gab. I know how to sell. So then I worked my way through the corporate fitness ladder. If anyone's, from Canada, I'm in Toronto right now. So Extreme Fitness was our biggest fitness chain, and I moved my way up the ladder. And by 20, I was their first ever female general manager and the youngest by far in company history. So the company was doing crazy sales. We were doing multi-millions. I've personally done multi-millions in front-end and back-end membership sales. And, these gyms were doing, $500K in the front end in memberships, and then another 500 in the back end. And because I learned these systems and I learned how to sell and I started to understand what this was all about, I started to consult other fitness business owners on what was going on here and how these systems were working. But this was really the only job I've ever had. But I was working there since I was 16, so naturally I became like the spokesperson for the company. So then I just started talking about, you know, the gym on all these different media stations, and realizing how relatively simple it was to pitch fitness and health. Like, there's nothing better to grow a brand in, because everyone's always going to be, it's not going to die. Fitness and health is not going to go away. People are always going to want to talk about, you know, fitness trends, weight loss trends, and the media is always going to want to talk about it. So on behalf of this gym, I started just going crazy, offering my expertise as a personal brand to promote the gym. So my position within, you know, my role within the company just evolved and changed, but I had a ton of exposure. But separate from the exposure I was getting for the gym that I was working for, my personal brand also leveraged all that exposure, obviously, because it was me on behalf of the gym. So I've appeared in the media over 200 times, and I've collaborated with all the biggest companies in my industry. And today I am leveraging everything that I know, leveraging my contacts, you know, really, you know, backtracking what it is that I was able to do to figure all this stuff out, because with all this exposure comes demand. And that's really what this is all about, right? This is not about, you know, let me get on TV, or let me get into the magazine, or let me see how I can promote my business. This is all about how can I get as much exposure as possible, because with this exposure, I call it, you know, with these impressions, like what I always say, like, how can we get as many eyeballs as possible on your brand? The more eyeballs you have on your brand, the more you are able to leverage that. It's very valuable, because then business opportunities, like I said, open, and you can do whatever you want, right? So for me, it was putting DVD programs into retail, selling online programs. It was, you know, getting celebrities endorsements, paid speaking gigs, all these other things that you can really start to leverage once you build demand using exposure. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I didn't know what the heck I was doing when I started doing this. I didn't even know what PR stood for, to be honest. I don't have a marketing degree. I don't have a PR degree, nothing, no fancy business, anything. I didn't have a network of entrepreneurs. I just started, you know, I knew that I had something that I was super passionate about, and that was helping my clients on the gym floor. And I knew that I wanted to get out there on a bigger scale, so I just started plugging away. So it doesn't take much. I didn't have any financing or anything. It doesn't cost money to get exposure, and that's why this process is so exciting. So let's get right to it. I've broken it down into 6 steps. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about your brand identity, and this is kind of the part that feels, you know, a little bit annoying maybe, or, you know, that's like we want to skip past it, but this is the part that we can't, you know, skip at all. This would be where we're building up the Kim Kardashian brand, right? Then we're going to find your platform. So let's say now we know, you know, we understand what your brand is and how you show up. The next step would be, okay, well, where are we going to get this exposure? Then we have to actually be the expert, right? We can't just fake it to this big brand that we want to make. We actually have to, and we have to be the expert. Then we want to see, okay, well, who do we need to help us? Like, who do we need to network with? Who are the producers? Who are the influencers? Who are we going to network with to help us get this content, because we're the expert, onto these platforms that we've identified? And then we got to get the content out there, and then we have to promote it. So that's the system that we're going to talk about today. Something really important is this doesn't just happen, right? So back to the example of, let's say you are opening a supplement store. Did I say supplement store? You're opening up a store, your supplement store, and you've got a partner maybe, and you're going to talk about marketing. Like, you're going to set aside time to meet with your team to discuss, you know, the marketing, or what kind of flyers or whatever it is that you're doing. When you have your own business, and when you're building, whether you're building your personal brand or whatnot, we tend to, obviously we're worried about the numbers, we're worried about sales, and social media is taking up so much of our time. We're doing all these other things, but it's so important to schedule time aside to handle your own marketing and to handle your own PR. Now, a lot of people want to outsource this to a social media manager or to a publicist or whatnot. You know, it's my strong opinion that no one is going to represent yourself better than you. Outsourcing your relationships is impossible. PR is relationships. Sure, you can have people, you know, handle the systems and all that kind of stuff, and post your social media stuff. But when it comes to people pitching me, and when it comes to myself, creating relationships with influencers, with media, that's, I don't let anyone send an email on my behalf. That's all myself, and that's how I've been able to do what I've been able to do in the media, because those are now my friends, right? So we're going to talk about that, but that's something that I want you to set aside time in your schedule every single week to do. It'll be time well spent. So step one, we got to create the strategy. We got to create the business plan for your personal brand, right? You open up a business, you're going to create a business plan. You want to have a personal brand, you want to be known, you want to be an influencer, you got to have a plan. So if you cannot clearly articulate why someone should follow you, yet alone buy from you, how can you expect this to work? So we want all these followers. We want all this media attention. We want, we're hashtagging stuff on Instagram, and we want to get into the magazines, but why? Why? There's people on the other side of this. There's an audience on the other side of this platform, right? So if you want to be in the magazine, there's an audience that the people reading this magazine, that's the audience. Why should they subscribe to you? What is going on? What are they going to like about you? That's your strategy. That's your brand. So a lot of this is, I go back to the drawing board all the time, right? How do I show up? What do people think about me? What are they finding value in? What is it that they like about me? It's a personality. It's an emotion, right? So this is stuff that you got to dig deep. You got to dig really deep. And because I want to make sure I get you guys through all the steps today. There's tons of worksheets. I'm going to send you guys how you can get them later, but I want you to make sure you put the time aside in your schedule to go there. Whether it's a business, whether you're building a personal brand, you got to dig deep, and you need to know your clients more intimately than they know themselves. And only after you've done this work can you really go ahead and put it on blast. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about things like, can you clearly articulate why someone should follow you? Can you clearly articulate who you are to them, what you do, and who your brand is talking to, right? So even with me, within my personal brand, yes, I'm a business coach to, fitness and health pros, but there's a certain type of person who really, really resonates with me. There's a certain type of person who becomes my raving fan and who soaks up my stuff and who opens my emails, who reads everything I do, who comments and replies on social. There's a certain type of person that I'm here to serve. And it's point something of the whole population. But that point something is out there by the millions, right? So just understanding with clarity how you show up is everything. Like, how many people really love Kim Kardashian? Like, really, really love her, right? Everyone just talks about her, but who really loves her? It's a very specific type of person. So when you can understand that about yourself and your business and how you show up in terms of the brand that you're putting out there, that's when really everything starts to roll into motion here. So it's understanding your communication style. It's understanding what you're going to be known for. It's really building this out. If you don't have time to write down your goals and your strategy, where are you going to find the time to accomplish them? So the beauty about this whole thing, and I always say to my clients, you are in complete control to write the back of your book. You can control how you want to show up. I do my PR backwards. I write the story, right? And what I mean by that is okay, so this is what I'm doing in this part of my business in 2016. This is what I want to be doing in 2017. I imagine myself on a stage in 2017 talking about what I've accomplished, in reverse in 2016. And if I don't like the way that sounds, I beef it up and I make it sound better. You can just write your story, write the story of your business, how it grows, who you serve, what people love about you, and then you have complete control of how you are writing your entire brand story. So, and this is where you can demand attention and exposure from the right people who are your raving fans. So let's say you've done the work, and this is not something we can get into in 5-10 minutes. I just wanted to sell you on the fact that I really, really hope you take the time to do the work, and it's not something to do in the middle of your day. It's, this is a Sunday thing for me. I live in the city in Toronto, and it's crazy here, so I pack a bag, and I go to my dad's house in the suburbs, and I park myself in his basement, and I whiteboard, I turn off my technology, and I really, really dig deep and sit there and think about my brand strategy. So this is stuff that takes some time, so I hope you take the time to do that as well. So let's say you've done all this. You have a crystal clear game plan. You know how you're showing up. You know your audience more intimately than they know themselves. Now you need demand from this audience that we keep talking about. Let's start with the facts. People want to work with experts. They want to work with influencers, right? Welcome to the 21st century. Perception is everything. People want to work with experts who have all this fluff attached to their brands, these fancy logos on their Etsy and on sections of their website, these graphics, social media following. All this stuff is fluff. It's perception. As much as, I hate to say it, it does matter. People want to work with influencers. That's one thing. The other thing is your ideal clientele. They need to know you exist in the first place. So many of us are guilty because we're so passionate. We're service-based professionals. We've gotten into this industry because we're passionate. We we tend to focus so much on what we're good at, which is servicing our clients and being really incredible at it. The problem with that becomes, it doesn't matter how amazing you are, it doesn't matter how amazing your product is if it's an online product, or how amazing your facility or your boot camp or whatever it is you've got going on could be incredible and get the most insane results. If nobody knows about you, right, you don't have the chance to service anyone, what does it matter? So people need to know you exist. So this is where we jump into step 2, and we're going to dive into exposure. So just making sure there's no questions. Okay, so step 2, first thing to do is pick your platforms. And by platforms, what I'm talking about are, any person, a business, a brand, an organization, website, media, anyone who has an audience. So let's just step out of my slides for a second and think about this. You know what your brand's about, you know who you're serving, you know who you're showing up for, you understand who your raving fans are, why they like you, and all that good stuff. Now, there's other people, places, platforms out there who have access to that audience by the masses, right? So it's going to be very difficult to start plugging away, building on your own social media, which is usually your personal networks and your friends and your family and whatnot. But there's other people out there who have built platforms with your ideal audience. Let's identify those, right? So what we're talking about are websites, influencers, magazines, TV stations, radio shows, print, podcasts. So with the challenge of asking you guys to set aside 2 hours to do your media and your marketing and your own PR, step 1 would be obviously figuring out the branding part, and then moving on to say, okay, which magazines, which influencers? I want you to create a list, and I'm going to challenge you to put at least 20 platforms on there, right? So at this point in my business, I have thousands. Start with 20 and challenge yourself to add on a new 20, every single day. So if you have a team, this is something that you could outsource because you're not reaching out to them yet. So this is my media list. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little bit small. One second. This is my media list, okay? It's an Excel sheet. Column 1 is the outlet. Then I write down here what's the type. Is it a broadcast? Is it radio? Is it web? Is it print? Then I want the phone number. Well, I don't know if I need the phone number anymore, but anyway. So then this is going to be for the contact, the URL, and the email. So go online and start looking, right? So if you are in the weight loss niche, I think you guys say niche. It's niche over here. I think I say niche, and that's why I
yeah. Yes, the beautiful Canadian is niche. But,
niche. Which one is it?
We say niche.
Okay, you say niche. I'm like, I know. I always say it, and then I want to take it back because it's. So we say niche.
We say niche in America, but both are correct as far as I know.
Okay, so whoever your audience is. So what you would jump right into. You can just Google, like if you want to find out what are the top podcasts for, weight loss, or maybe you are in the postnatal fitness, you would find top magazines, postnatal fitness, top online magazines. So just start Googling around and start building out a really solid list of platforms. Again, these are platforms who have your audience, right? So right now we're just doing some internet research. We're just figuring out who can we leverage in terms of getting our awesome content on their platform. So now, in order to get any of this done, you actually have to be the expert, and that's the easy part because that's you being you and doing what you love. So that's you getting your messages out there. So all you have to do all the time is provide solutions to the pain points you have identified in your branding plan and be really freaking good at it. So if you've done the work to sit there and to brainstorm and to map out, okay, my audience, what are they going through? And they really don't want to lose 5 pounds, right? So that's something that when I keep saying you got to dig deeper, your audience is feeling something. It's way beyond what they're going to tell you initially when you say, what brought you in today, or what were the reasons for contacting me. There's so much more behind what it is these people are going through and doing and feeling. What are they typing into their iPads late at night when they're lying there in bed and they can't sleep because they're so worried about something? What is really going on? And if you can show up as the expert and provide, because remember I said you know them more intimately than they know themselves. Right? So when you show up as that person and you go there and you constantly provide solutions to the pain points that you know they're going through, that's when things really start to take off. So based on this audience, you decide what's best for them, and also what's best for what you like to do. If you don't like to create videos and do you're not down to do this whole Periscope thing because it's just not feeling right, then don't let that stop you from being the expert. Then write. If you like to write, write. Whatever it is that you like and however your community likes to consume information, that's what you should do. Don't worry about doing them all. Just own one, and be really consistent, because in order to get your content now into the media, in order to start showing up as that influencer, you need to have content. You know, a lot of people want to take 20 million steps ahead, and it's like, okay, well, if someone looks you up, what can they see? You have to show up as the expert, and that's the only way to do that is with content. So you got to start building a solid foundation around your expert topic. All right, so let's assume you've created your content, and you started to really put some stuff out there, and it's providing the exact solutions that you've identified in your game plan, because this is the topic that you want to be known for, and you're going to roll with it. So then we have to say, okay, we found the platform. So we know the magazines, we know the radio shows, the podcasts, we know the TV stations, all these platforms that have our audience. We've identified them. They're on our spreadsheet. Awesome. What next? It's not Facebook stalking, it's internet research. It's totally Facebook stalking, and it's totally fine. So you grab that spreadsheet, and now we want to find the contacts, right? So let's add the contacts. So what we're going to do is we are going to look for editors. You're going to look for publishers, producers, blog owners. So on this point for a minute, as much as we want to get media attention, as much as we want exposure. And media attention, by the way, it doesn't have to be these massive, morning shows and lights and cameras. Media, for our purposes right now, is anyone who has our audience. So it could be your friend's blog, it could be an online magazine, it could be anything. But when you think about it, these platforms are in a business of producing content for their audience. They need content. So if you can show up with amazing content and you can establish a relationship, it's actually a win-win. As much as we feel like, oh, thank you so much for featuring me, it's actually a win-win because they need content. So just make sure that you don't wrap your head around the wrong headspace like anyone's doing you a favor. You are the expert. You're the go-to expert. Whatever your niche is, that's what you get to provide your content on, and they need you as much as you need them. So never feel like it's beyond you or it's not meant for you. So finding your contacts, I'm going to get to this slide in a minute, but again, you just Google for it. So I would, like I said, I'm trying to find these different platforms. So I Googled 25 magazines in Toronto that should know about you, that you should know about. I'm like, amazing, they should know about me too, right? So then I'm like, okay, let me find who's working at this magazine. Who am I looking for here? Great. On this page here, so this was actually a list or a blog naming Toronto magazines, and if I'm Toronto-based, I should be in these magazines. So now I'm looking for, okay, who works here? Now I've got, okay, simple, Mark Peast. He's the publisher and editor-in-chief. Amazing. They don't leave me his email. I got to do a little bit more internet stalking, no problem. So then I start Googling his magazine, editor-in-chief. I find his LinkedIn profile, amazing. Then I can contact him, very, very simple. So now I would like you to challenge yourself to adding the actual contacts. Some might be easier to find. You'll find some you'll find some people list their email addresses on their website. Other times you got to do a little bit of digging, but it's definitely there. These are your media contacts. These are the people that you are going to strategically build real relationships with because you have this awesome content and they have this awesome platform, and it's a match. Now, here is something I want you to consider. I want you to consider the scale, I call it. So a lot of times, everyone's, we can't just, figure out what our brand's going to be about and then say, hello, Good Morning America, I should be on Good Morning America. It doesn't work like that, right? But this is a process, it is a system, and if you think about it, if you start putting your content out there to 20 blogs, even 20 blogs that get zero traffic, right? Let's just say you're doing this just to kind of build your brand. So you have all these articles. Let's say you want to talk about postnatal fitness, right? So you write all these articles, and they're all different. You're talking about the same thing. You don't have to talk about a million different things. You want to be known for something, right? So if you want to be known for postnatal fitness, there's a million different ways you can write articles on postnatal fitness. But let's assume that I had 20 articles. I'm just starting out. I have no following. I have no nothing. I'm just starting out. And I put 20 articles about postnatal fitness onto 20 blogs that are getting no traffic, but I'm just putting them out there. What do you think is going to happen when somebody Googles my name? So when someone Googles my name, all these articles are going to come up on Postnatal Fitness. They don't know that these websites are getting no blogs. I'm still really getting no traffic or no traction from these blogs. However, the perception is that I'm the expert on postnatal fitness. I can literally pitch myself to 20 blogs overnight, and the quickest way to do that, I don't know, the quickest way to do that is if you Google postnatal fitness, and in quotations you put "Right for Us." So whatever your topic is, and then in quotations you put "Right for Us," or in quotations you put "contribute" or "guest blog." Google, awesome Google, is going to pull up like literally hundreds of thousands of websites that talk about postnatal fitness and also have the keyword "Right for Us." So there are going to be hundreds of thousands of websites that already are looking for your content. So at the beginning, if you haven't started yet, or if you're not an expert or an influencer in a specific niche, oh gosh, if you're not an expert in a specific space, then this would be the place to start, because now this is where you get your traction. You can literally do it overnight. So get your content out there if you're just starting out. Now, let's say you've got 20 blogs on postnatal fitness, and it's all over the internet. When someone searches your name, they're going to be like, holy crap, look at this person. They've got pages deep of postnatal fitness talk on all these different websites. Cool. So now, guess what? You can go to the local news, and you can say, hey, local news reporter, I'm the expert on postnatal fitness. Check out my website where it links to all the other places I've contributed, and then they're going to Google you. They're going to look you up. Believe me, they are, because everyone looks everyone up. And they're going to look you up, and they're going to say, holy, wow, this person's amazing. They're the expert on postnatal fitness. We should bring them in. We should bring them in to talk about postnatal fitness. So then you get on the local news. And then you do you spin around the local stuff for a little bit. You build some traction within your community, do some community stuff, community talks, and you kind of own that space. And then you can very easily, once you've done local news and had a couple, had quite a few, then you pitch the national news, and then you move up and up and up. So can you see how it's a very strategic strategy, and it's just a matter of plugging away at it and pitching yourself, and owning what it is that you want to be known for, and then just getting yourself out there in a very powerful way. And it's unbelievable how relatively simple this is and how fast it can grow. And the reason why I say that is because people just don't do it. They don't feel that it's something that they can do. And as long as it's a win-win, of course media wants media too, right? So if I am the national news, I want to make sure that whichever expert I'm bringing on has clout, has some credibility, is somewhat of a name, right? So that's why spinning around over here is cool. Same thing, the higher up you go, the more of a backpack of here's what I've done you have to have, but it's all within your control. Super exciting. So you added the context to your media list. So this content that you're getting out there, so this is kind of backtracking a little bit, but it's important to have your content, your expert content of what you want to be known for. So you choose what you want to be known for. A lot of people feel you have to talk about so many different things, and that dilutes your message. You can talk about so many different things, but there's going to be those key topics that you're known for. That's something that you would strategize on in your branding plan. For example, I'm a coach, I'm a consultant, I help fitness and health businesses, but what I want to be known for is branding and media. I talk about a whole laundry list full of other things, but what I want to be known for is that coach who talks about branding and media. So that's something that I have to talk about all the time so that I become known for it, right? So decide what it is you want to be known for, and then you want to, pitch that content to other people's platforms, but you also got to show up and have it on your own. This way, when someone Googles you, which is so important, you're going to have your own platforms, right? These are mine, so my Facebook and then some of my websites and all those stuff, but other people's platforms show up, so that when I'm pitching myself, you almost hope people Google you so that they see, oh, this person is really the expert on what she says she is. He or she, of course. So being the expert system. Decide which day of the week you're going to post, and do it like it's your job, because it is. This stuff, it's really fun, to think about what's possible, and it's so possible. The problem is we don't set aside the time to actually, pitch ourselves, and it has to become a task within your business. You have to treat your brand, whether it's a personal brand or your business, whether, it's your PR and your marketing, with the way that the internet is moving at such intense paces. even if you have an offline business and you rely on referrals and it's booming. Nowadays, I know I'm not only just speaking for myself, but let's say I've got five sisters. So let's say someone said, this is the most amazing yoga instructor. You have to come check her out. She's got this amazing studio. Come with me. I'm going to say, sure. What's her name? What's the yoga studio's name? And I'm going to look it up. I have my system. Everyone has their own. I like to stalk on Instagram. I like to take a little scroll through the Instagram feed. Then I maybe do a little Google. Everyone, right? Everyone has their system. So what this is doing is this is taking away the power of referrals, because what people think of you online is just absolutely becoming so much more important. So if I check her out on Instagram and I'm like, you know what, sis, cool, you do your thing, it's not for me, I'm going to go and find someone who is for me, right? So it really is so important to get past that, barrier, that wall of perception that people have when they look us up. So this is something, like I keep saying, it's in your control, but you do have to take action to make sure that, you control what people see when they look you up.
So I want to interrupt you for just a second. Ask
please
two questions about that. One, I want to go back and just reinforce what you said about local media, because I know you've been on television a whole bunch. I have been as well, and I think we forget that they have to get content every day for a news cycle, multiple times, right? Morning news, noon news, evening news. Weekend news, it's a never-stopping content machine, right? And so blogs, online magazines, all these things, right? They're desperate and hungry for content. And so, one, I just want to kind of reiterate that. So, but share with us your experience of almost that struggle of, the people in the news and content generating. I mean, you're sort of providing a solution for them, right? It's not just exactly. Like you're trying to be like, hey, look at me, put me on the news, but it's like you're trying to offer them a solution.
Yeah, 100%, and that's something that So the way that I got into this, into the media, meaning TV and whatnot, was I pitched them a Biggest Loser challenge, right? So that's how I got in, and I just said, anyone in the building, meaning cameramen, producers, on-air personalities. I said, let's do Biggest Loser challenge and just an internal workplace thing. And then I really got to know the assignment editors. I really got to know the reporters, the cameramen, the people who are responsible for the content. So those are the producers, right? So if you think, if for a second you put yourself in the shoes of a producer who's sitting in this newsroom and it's so fast-paced, and like Dan said, you gotta get great content. What do they want? Right? These producers, what do they want? They want to get amazing content for their platform so that their bosses are happy, so that everyone's happy, so they have an audience. So instead of coming at this from I'm the postnatal fitness expert and here's what I want to talk about, put yourself in their shoes and take a look at their audience and take a look at, backtrack some of the stories they've covered. What's their style? What's their angle? What's their communication style? What's their brand all about? So then you see how they're showing up. Then you can say, okay, how can I slip in here and add value? And when you show up and you offer them, it's technically it's a pitch, but more so it's something that is just so done for you and so in line with what it is that they already feature and cover. They're going to just be so thrilled, and it's going to be so much pressure off their back knowing they've got this expert who they can turn to all the time, and you're going to constantly, have all your stuff together. You're going to constantly have pitches and ideas in the hopper. And fitness when I was working on my fitness brand, fitness is like the non-breaking news thing that we would create all these 5-minute fitness tips and all these other things. Obviously, it's not breaking news, but they knew if they needed some content and it was going to be research, and I was going to have it done, and they could just send a camera my way anytime, and I was going to make sure I took care of it. It was just building that trust with that reporter, and it was almost like, I've got you. And that's really what they're looking for. Same thing with the media has deadlines, so they need great content. So if when I send in, when I post on my own blog, I'm not sending it to editors to spell check. It's not perfect, but you better believe when I'm submitting to a media platform or to a magazine, I'm getting that thing checked, I'm getting it polished, I'm making sure it's good, I'm making sure it's early, I put ribbons and bows on it, and I deliver it, because that builds that relationship with that influence, with that media contact on the other side.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I think in the fitness industry, we not being in the news industry, we forget. And so yeah, so go on here with your getting your content
Yeah,
out there.
and it's yeah, yeah. So it's really it's not beyond you, right? You have a gift, you have expert knowledge that their audience wants, and it's not beyond anyone. And literally, it's not this crazy concept of sending this crazy pitch. It's an email away, right? So for example, this is a email that I was sending, it was Super Bowl weekend, and I found this platform online, and I'm literally just saying, how can I've identified your platform, how can I help you and provide content, right? So it's just a very simple email. Hey, I'm looking to see if there's any opportunity to provide value to your audience and readers. I'm a media and branding coach, and I've worked with quite a few CrossFit box owners. Would you like a guest blog around the topic of, name a topic? Let me know if this would be interest to you, and sign off. So this is you saying, I'm an expert, I love your platform, I would love to help you provide some content for your platform. And you're not asking for anything. You're not saying, hey, can I be in your magazine? Hey, can I be on TV? You're just saying, how can I provide content? Because that's the one thing that's so annoying for people in the media is everyone always wants a piece of them. Everyone always wants to be featured. Sure, everyone wants to be on TV. Sure, everyone wants to be in the magazine. That's not what they want. They want content, right? So what do you think is going to happen if you show up and you don't promote anything, or you don't show up and wear your blazing, you have your all your trainers with you and you're wearing your logos and it's so obvious. No, show up as a human being, as a person who's got content for their audience. Of course, when you do that, they're going to say, wow, this was amazing. Our people love this. It's not a plug. Then they're going to naturally say, well, what can we do for you? And that's where building a real relationship comes into play, because trust me, when you build relationships with people in the media, they will hook you up with favors. I've had multi-millions of dollars in free marketing and media exposure just because I have relationships in the media. Because first things first, I need to ask them what they need, and then I ask them. Like now, it's to the point where I call in favors if I need a product plugged, or I call in favors if I need something. But it takes time. It's a real relationship. So that's most important. Is thinking about what they need. So once you're featured, and this could be someone's blog, or this could be in a magazine, or whatever it is, you want to promote it, right? So too often do people, something happens and then they tweet about it and they post on Instagram and then it's gone. You really need to make this opportunity, and you got to turn this opportunity and make it have its own legs. Like you really got to run with it, meaning you want to create momentum so that it continues to establish credibility and authority for your brand. So you want to add that local, that as seen on section to your website. So you've been featured on this thing, great. You're going to grab the logo, you put the logo on your website, and it's going to add to that fluff bucket. You're going to schedule your social media posts more than once. It's going to continuously pop up, right? So I think that people, I was just reading this article on social media that people don't remember things you posted 2 months ago. So heck, every 2 months, talk about you being featured in this article. Then people are going to be like, wow, you're everywhere. Just constantly add that to your, to your content, so that people want to work with influencers, and this is the way to add that. You want to re-pitch that media contact. If someone invited on, you want to build a relationship with them, and then you want to say, hey, that was amazing. I have these other ideas, and then you constantly be ahead of the game and come up with ideas. You want to pitch up the scale, right? So if you spun around in the blogging space, then you want to go to local news, and you want to go to one that you think is a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. Always pitch up the scale when you're ready. You'll know when you're ready, because people will also start coming to you. It's the toughest part is getting out of the gates. When you're out of the gates, people will come to you. It's unbelievable, because you're just, these opportunities really just come to you. So, and then you want to nurture your relationships with your contacts and add value. And you want to save everything. Take screenshots of everything. I throw everything into my media kit. Take all the logos. You want to really make sure that you're saving everything and adding it to your brand and to your website and everywhere else. So, quick recap here. Step one is we're going to create the business plan for our brand. So this is where we're going to lock ourselves in our homes and whiteboard and brainstorm and all that stuff to really make sure we're crystal clear, the Kim Kardashian effect. We're really understanding how we're showing up and how we want people to perceive us before we're pitching ourselves to the media, because we've got to get clear on that. You don't just want to be a granola brand like everybody else. You want to make sure that there's something about you. You've got that thing. There's something that you want to be known for. There's this way that you show up. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be crazy and bold and out there. It could be that you're patient, that you're articulate. It could be whatever it is you want it to be. It's just you have to know and understand it better than anybody else. You want to find your platform. So who's got your audience? You want to be the expert. So you're actually going to create content. You're going to put content on your platforms and on someone else's platforms, one for me, one for you, and then you're going to promote it and leverage it. So the number one takeaway here is, regardless of where you're at in your journey of becoming the most incredible, passionate, inspiring, successful fitness and health industry pro, you want to start creating and designing your brand strategy today. And the thing to remember is that it totally can evolve. Don't ever think that you're writing something in stone. That's the beauty of being a brand. That's even your business, like the culture, the everything can change. And I always say, like Miley Cyrus, you're allowed to evolve as long as you're powerful as you go, and as long as I've changed my brand from a fitness brand to a business brand overnight. And nobody seemed to care, because I'm human and I'm allowed to evolve. So if you're passionate in one space and you think you're going to move into another space, that's totally cool. As long as you're always, putting yourself out there and you're always going big in terms of, building that influence and that authority, you can totally grow and evolve. It's fine. The colors on your websites, the logos of this, of that, don't let those things have you stuck. Just start. Have the strategy and then come back to the drawing board as many times as you have to and rejig it anytime, and don't ever be stuck on being or showing up in one specific way. So remember, there's always going to be a million others doing what you're doing. A million other people will, be, offering the same things that you want to offer or have the same type of business or game plan. But there's only ever going to be one you. Your clients will choose to work with you because you are you. There is always room for another star in any industry, because you can just plow past everyone when you take that on and you say, there's people out there who are going to really, really, love my business, love my brand because of me. So don't ever, ever, ever worry about how many millions of others there are. I know that's a massive thing that we feel holds us back, but really, if you put yourself out there and you strategize and you pitch and you go and you grow, it can really, really have some legs. So first of all, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'm totally here to answer any questions, but I've also got some freebies for you. So all that that brainstorming and all that stuff that I want you guys to do, I've put that into a worksheet so you can kind of do that, and I've got those templates for you to build out your own media kit and some extras too. So make sure you go to my website. It's stephaniejoanne.com/gifts with an S. Gifts with an S. And of course, you can reach out to me anytime at Steph Joanne. You can email me if you have questions. I really like to, answer anything you guys have, and any feedback. I would love to have that too. So thank you guys so much again.
Well, thanks so much, Stephanie. This has been great. Really, really good stuff for those on live today, and for the hundreds that are going to grab this on recording for months to come. Really, really good tips. Let's take a few questions. Stephanie's got about 10 minutes if anybody has any questions. The first couple of questions that came in were pretty much just applauding you. I'm not sure if you can see the question box, but Joe said, great, actionable, and well-organized info. Nicole said, good stuff, smiley face. So far it looks like you covered it pretty well. Probably gave some people some good marching orders. We'll see if any questions come in for those that are left here live. Tell us kind of the next big thing you're working on. I know, I think we're both speaking at the Wellness Business Summit coming up in Toronto, but tell us your next big thing you got coming out in 2016.
Yeah, so I am, launching, I've got groups of people that I'm taking through this process, and it's really incredible when you grow with your peers, right? Because I always tell, like right now I've got 65 people in my group coaching program, and I look at that and I say, well, if you've got 64 fellow fitness and health entrepreneurs who are also trying to grow their brands and their businesses, can you just imagine if those 64 other people promoted and commented and shared and really engaged with what you were doing as a brand? There really is, like, collaboration is really replacing competition, and the more that I am working with people like yourself, Dan, and working with Lori's, and working with Bejos, like working with everyone, it's just incredible how the minute you start to feel like, oh, this person's competing with me, that's when you're cutting yourself. Like, that's where you're absolutely wrong, because it really is just so powerful to just grow exponentially when you do this with friends. So that's something that I'm really, just adding value to other people's networks and knowing that it just comes around. So that's it's more fun that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's more fun that way, yeah.
It's way more fun to see other people succeed because of the connections, and that's how we got connected through Lori and Bedros connected us, and I wasn't aware of what you were doing until they connected us, and I mean,
yeah,
fantastic stuff. What you covered today, super valuable. You're updating your email address as we go.
I just saw that my email was my social media is at Steph Joanne, but my name is Stephanie with a PH, and I don't know where in my life I decided that Steph was going to be with an F. I just branded that, right?
That's hilarious.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I don't see any questions coming in, so we'll give people about 30 more seconds. You must have covered it so thoroughly that they're overwhelmed with things to do. They don't want to ask any more questions, that they might possibly be given more stuff to do. So thanks so much for what you're doing. Folks, if you haven't grabbed Stephanie's gifts, I encourage you to do that. It's been on the page there for quite a while. So thanks again, Stephanie, for doing this.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.